Lots of things out there are fun to pull off. Pranks and gags, heists, the little pillow on tags that says not to pull off, the mask of a villain in a Scooby-Doo show. But most fun of all, different notes in a chord. So a lot of questions I get are how to improve your hammer-ons and pull-offs. It's kind of like the holy grail of sounding like you might know what you're doing on a guitar, specifically on an acoustic guitar, because they pair really, really well with chords. So today is all going to be about learning a very, I don't want to say it's busy. I think it's tastefully busy. A little exercise we're going to do is going to sound like this. Okay, so it's really it's interesting because we're combining a lot of these little single note hammer-ons and pull-offs in quick succession, so it's a good way to kind of musically practice it while working on your technique. I'm rocking out the Cort Gold A6. They sponsored this video, so check this out because they definitely pulled off making an incredible guitar for pretty good value. Very low price. Link is in the description. So let's get right to it, all right? We're going to talk about the single notes first, break it into two parts, and then we're going to start adding chords to it. Because once you can start adding hammer-ons and pull-offs to chords, I think it starts to sound more like something you might hear a professional musician play, and it just kind of makes really simple, basic chords sound a lot better. And like I said, make it seem like you know what you're doing, and then you might get hired for certain gigs without really knowing what you're doing, and then that's a whole other problem. But anyways, it's going to start like this. It's note by note. Part one is going to be this. Alright, really easy. We're just going to take the G string, hammer on, open to 2, pointer finger, pull off 1 to open on the B string. Okay, so right now we're kind of getting good technique, trying to come down with a little bit of confidence. Right, that's the hammer on. The hammer on right there is the confidence that this Scooby-Doo villain has that he'll get away with it, if not for you meddling kids. And then the pull-off is the dramatic pull-off, all right? So the hammer-on, middle finger, really think about where you're going. Sometimes if you have to look at the G string and then just come down with authority, plant it, nail it. That's all muscle memory. If you come down weak, unsure of yourself, you're not gonna get it. You should be able to get a note just by coming down, right? So start the energy on the string with the pick, or with your finger, go right there. The next step, get that B string first fret, pull off a C to a B. All right, now you'll notice my pointer finger's here. It's not just leaving the string. You get a little bit of a sound leaving the string, but you control it so much more, and you have a more even dynamic that you can control when you kind of flick it off, right? You're not gonna unmask a villain like, oh, excuse me, sir, sorry, oh, it was you all along? No, you rip that mask off. Let the people know that you knew all along it was him or her. Just like that. Now you may be like, well, what about the string below it? How come it's not sounding like that? Well, that comes with your picking hand. I've kind of got my hand right here where my ring finger is just holding that string. So even if I do hit the high string with my finger as it's leaving, it can actually mute it so it doesn't sound like it. So a hammer on, pull off. And then we're gonna go back to 2G, all right? So just drill that. Hammer, pull off, 2G, all right? After this is gonna be the next part, okay? So we'll think of this as 2 parts. Part 2 is start on 2D, open G again with another hammer on, 2G, A, is the A note, second fret on the G string. Then open B, 2G, 2D. So again, there's part 2. The nice thing about getting that open B string is it trains you to not get that dead note, right? Sometimes when you get hammered down with force, the overlap of my middle finger is muting the B string. So getting that hammer on and getting that note to sound out while hitting the string behind your middle finger is great practice to know if you're really getting that cleanly, right? So, and then after that, we're gonna go back to the 2nd fret. Now you'll notice that I'm using my middle finger to do a lot. After that hammer-on, I'm kind of rolling it back and forth. I want to talk more about that in a second and how we can be even more efficient with that. But this is kind of like a tone technique thing. So all together, both parts, back to back, sound like this. Alright, just like that. Now, again, by itself, these single notes sound kind of weak. Like if you're playing a song, A minor, C major, F major. It really kind of ruins the vibe of it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna play these around a chord, because I think that's the most musical way to start incorporating hammer-ons and pull-offs into what you're doing rhythmically, which to me is kind of like the most efficient way you're going to make this sound musical, and kind of like the most practical way you can slide these into different chords, right? So if you'll notice that all these notes that we've played, what are the notes that we've played on different strings? On the B string, we've played the 1st fret and open. On the G string, we've played the 2nd fret and open. And on the D string, we've played the 2nd fret. So if we're going to make a chord out of those, A minor. Great, so let's play this riff over an A minor chord. So maybe I'll do a strum kind of pattern. Okay, right there. Root, down, up, down, up, up, down, down. Then back into it. See, so now I'm getting it into like a rhythm. So my strumming is setting the metronome to kind of do that, all right? And now you'll notice that I'm doing this around A minor chords. So once you start getting in your mind's eye the notes, you can do that in a more efficient way that you might encounter in a song that maybe you're trying to replicate, or maybe it's something that you're writing, all right? So again, I'm doing this while keeping this A minor chord here. And this is gonna be why we practice kind of like getting good tone while still hitting the string beneath it, because you have to do that when you play it as a chord, okay? So maybe one way to practice this before trying to incorporate that little hammer-on pull-off-y riff is to just take the chord and then just work on hammering on entire chords, okay? So again, there's the string set and there's the A minor chord. Everything comes down together. Hit the string set, bring it down. You should be able to do any one of your fingers as a hammer-on, especially in chords that have all the open strings as notes in them. Okay, so what I mean by that is A minor. If we look at, the notes of the A minor scale or something, we'd get A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and A. If you don't know anything about that, definitely check out my Patreon, because I have like tons and tons of lessons from the ground up that are ordered no matter where you are. If you're an absolute beginner, it'll teach you how to find the notes and all that stuff. Check that out. That's linked in the description too. But yeah, we know that all those notes, E, A, D, G, B, E, are in that scale. Therefore, any of the hammer-ons and pull-offs for any chord that you'll find in A minor or the key of C major is going to be fair game. So how we can incorporate that is maybe we can start with this chord. And maybe if I'm just strumming 4 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, that 4th, maybe I'm just getting an open hammer-on or a pull-off. 1, 2, 3, pull-off. If you mute it with your palm like this, you have more opportunity to open up the higher part of that to hear the hammer-on, because sometimes if you're really playing you might not hear the hammer-on as prevalent over the volume of the other strings that you're hitting. Okay? And then once you have that, maybe try to do your ring finger and your pointer finger. All I'm doing is just hammering on, but keeping my middle finger locked down. Hammer, down, up, pull off. Alright? So again, pulling off, flicking off is a little bit harder with the chord sometimes, especially in the middle of that chord, but this is something that you're going to get a lot better at over time. And again, like I said, you can do this with any of the chords in that key. C major, F major, Okay, so it's a good way to really just incorporate all that stuff in there. Now when I'm doing that over an A minor chord like that, you can see that my chord never really changes, but I'm still getting all those notes. Okay, so that's the difference between something more practical as hammer-ons and pull-offs that you'll use over a chord shape to kind of inflect a chord, is the way that I like to think of it. Or just doing it single notes. A minor. So yeah, there's a big volume difference. You can even kind of play it as a chord and kind of get extra strings, and it still gives a little bit of the vibe of that little lick or riff or whatever you want to call that hammer-on pull-off thing that we started with, okay? So now to really do that properly, you have to have a little bit of control over your fingers independently. Yeah? So when I make that A minor with my middle finger on the second fret of the D string and my ring finger on the second fret of the G string and my pointer finger on the first fret of the B string, I think of that first part, that hammer, pull off 2G, but I'm doing it in the context of an A minor chord. So I can keep my middle finger locked there, and then it sounds a lot cleaner. Okay, now it doesn't totally matter which direction you're picking it. You can even use your fingers. In fact, I kind of feel like with a fingerstyle vibe where you kind of have certain fingers assigned to certain strings, you might even find that that's a little bit easier. But I've always thought that you can get the best, most even dynamic with a pick is just, you know, for my style of playing, everybody's a little bit different, whether the finger style or pick, but the same thing applies to each of them. That's why I think this is a really cool kind of riff that you could do over a lot of these chords, right? It doesn't have to just be A minor. You can start playing maybe like a similar kind of style or vibe over any of these chords, right? So if we think of, just use your ear to think of the melody. There's a rhythm there. Alright, we can do that in maybe a different position for like F major. That wasn't exactly the same note-wise, but it was the same rhythm-wise. And because those open strings and those notes in the chord are always going to help you out in the key with these chords, and again, you can always keep the same chords and change the key just by using a capo, up or down, right? We're kind of thinking of this in the key of A minor, key of C major. If you want to do something in the key of D flat or C sharp, you just put a capo on the first fret and then do everything one fret higher. All the same shapes and stuff are going to apply, but you can kind of create like a cool vibe when you think of it that way. So I think that's like a really fun way to play A minor, F, G, A minor, all because we've incorporated some of these hammer-on techniques. And I know I'm kind of flying through a lot of these really quick because it's not about learning. It's about seeing that these are all notes behind the chords that you're playing, right? So thinking of chord voicings where A minor is just, you know, you're holding down 3 frets, second fret on the D and G strings and the first fret on the B string, and then knowing that they can all be played open because those are notes in that key is just kind of empowering to know that I can always kind of jump off and play those notes, and I'm really playing a scale, right? And that's why it's also important to maybe think of scales and not be afraid of them, because they're really just, you know, the same notes you're already playing in your chords, maybe with just a couple different extra ones that could even be open strings, right? That's why I think there's a lot of value in just knowing all the positions of the major scale. Like if we just wanted to play all the notes in the key of A minor, the key of C, instead of making it like a root shape centric thing, it's great to just know where those notes are in open position. So that would be E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Because then eventually those can all become hammer-on, like make hot points. And again, I don't want to make this a huge lesson about scales. I just want to kind of draw a little bit of attention to where all these little hot spots are and the opportunities that you have available to you when you want to start kind of adding some of those on or off, okay? And then really just kind of mess around with the rhythms. You know, musical counting is like a total other subject almost, but it's super important when it comes to this stuff because you want to be able to play that stuff in time. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3. You want to usually hammer on or pull off on a note. One thing that I see a lot of beginners do is they'll pull off really quick. 1, 2, 3. And then since they pull off before maybe like an eighth note comes along, they'll start the downbeat early because it's kind of set off this chain reaction where you're losing timing. So think of a rhythm. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 2 and 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and right, that kind of thing. And that's why the riff that we did at the beginning is a great way to think about it because we're making a rhythmic riff. There's a built-in timing that you don't have to really count out loud because you can hear it, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, every one of those hammer-ons after the first riff was technically a little bit different note-wise, but rhythm-wise, it was all that same da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, because I can hear it, right? And once I can hear it, I can start using those kind of tips of knowing where the open strings are, and then kind of just cleanly hitting those within a chord. So I really think that's the best way to really master hammer-ons and pull-offs with acoustic guitar is adding them to a chord because I think that's where those flourishes sound the best, especially in just kind of like a solo guitar arrangement. It just sounds really cool and it adds a lot of melodic content that you don't have to think so hard about. You can just kind of add a little bit of a rhythm, da 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 da, and then it just sounds like you're really kind of composing something new on the fly, but you're really just kind of adding rhythms to muscle memory because you know which notes are in the key, which notes are not in the key. And even if you have educated guesses about what might be a hammer-on or pull-off location, more often than not, you'll end up finding out that you're guessing correctly. So thank you for watching this. And if you took anything from this video, just make it, if you're ever unmasking a villain, do it with gusto. Do it with confidence. Because even if you're wrong and the person is totally innocent, they're not going to remember that. They're going to remember being the cool guy that just ripped that mask off like he knew exactly what he was doing. So thank you for checking it out. Thank you, Cort, for sponsoring this video. If you have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comment section, Instagram, Twitter, and the website. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.